My uncle left me in foster care after my mom died, then his wife found out why. The night my mom died, I stood barefoot on the lawn at 2 in the morning, wrapped in a stranger's blanket, watching our house burn. The firefighters wouldn't let me go back inside. I could still hear my mother screaming my name from the second floor until the roof came down and everything went silent. After the funeral, a social worker told me they needed to find a legal guardian or place me in foster care. My dad had never been around, so I gave them the only name I had left, my Uncle Grant, my mom's older brother. He lived 40 minutes away in a huge house, owned several car dealerships, and had more than enough room for me. He refused. The social worker tried to say it gently. He's not in a position to take on a teenager right now. I just stared at her. Not in a position? The man had 6 bedrooms, a pool, and a 3-car garage. I entered foster care that week. The first house wasn't cruel, just temporary. Then came another placement, then another. I stopped fully unpacking my bag because there was no point. At school, I kept my head down, ate lunch alone, and tried not to think about the sound of my roof collapsing. 7 months later, the social worker called me into her office and said someone wanted to see me. It was my uncle's wife, Teresa. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. The second I sat down, she said, "I didn't know." I asked, "Didn't know what?" That Grant told them no. He told me you refused to live with us. He said you wanted foster care because you were angry at the family. My chest went tight. That's not true. I know, she whispered. I know now. Then she opened a folder. Inside were insurance papers, bank statements, and a handwritten letter from my mother. Teresa told me my mom had left behind a $250,000 life insurance policy and named me as the sole beneficiary. But because I was a minor, the money needed an adult to manage it legally. 3 days after the funeral, my uncle contacted the insurance company and claimed he was my guardian. He took the money. He'd been using it to cover losses at 2 failing dealerships. And that was the real reason he didn't take me in. If I had lived with him legally, the court would have overseen the inheritance. He couldn't touch it so easily. Then Teresa handed me my mother's letter. "If anything happens to me, please take care of my girl. Don't let her be alone." He read that letter and still left me in foster care. Teresa was crying by then, but her voice stayed steady. "I filed for emergency custody this morning. I also hired a lawyer. You're not going back to another temporary house." I asked, "What about Grant?" She wiped her eyes and said, "Grant can explain himself in court." I went home with her that night. 2 weeks later, she filed for divorce. The court froze his accounts, and every dollar was recovered. Losing my mother broke my life, but finding out my uncle had turned my grief into an opportunity changed something deeper. For months, I thought I'd been unwanted. I hadn't been unwanted. I'd been lied about, used, and left behind by the one person who should have stepped forward. And the only reason I got my life back was because his wife finally chose the truth over him.